Tonight, lifting the hood on a potential new partnership that could rev up Canada's struggling auto sector. Who wants to do business with Canada?
These are very friendly discussions between two countries.
And the unfriendly threat from Washington ahead of a pivotal premiers meeting with the Prime Minister. Massive layoffs at Amazon, including here in Canada.
These are very important jobs.
How much artificial intelligence is playing a part. And accused of gaining off grief.
It had stripped the personality of it, all the character.
What is obituary piracy, and how to protect your loved one's legacy?
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. We begin with developing news in Canada's precarious auto sector tonight and a potential new partnership with another country that has also been targeted by Donald Trump's tariffs, South Korea. CTV News can confirm Canada has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Southeast Asian country, which includes talks on bringing South Korean auto manufacturing to Canada. Now, that could include vehicles, parts, or batteries. A trade delegation, including representatives from Hyundai, met with the industry minister this week.
These are very friendly discussions between two countries that have found themselves with extremely similar geopolitical dynamics and similar economies, and in many ways complementary. And that was our main message.
Officials from another South Korean company trying to win a contract to build Canadian submarines were also part of the discussions. Trade tensions with the U.S. are front and center as Canada's premiers gather in Ottawa. And today, a new warning from Washington. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver explains.
It's going to be an exciting couple days.
The gathering of Canada's 13 premiers, a sign of solidarity, as trade tensions thrust Canada-U.S. relations into a new, more unpredictable chapter.
People in other places of the world are trying to divide us as a country. We need to stand together as a country.
We know President Trump's rules. There are no rules with him. So we need to focus on what we can do.
The premiers, even those who sometimes don't get along, sending a message of Team Canada unity.
We don't always agree on everything, but I think we've got a really solid base to start on.
The meeting comes days after the U.S. president threatened massive tariffs on Canadian imports, following the Prime Minister's speech in Davos declaring the old rules-based order dead.
I thought it was an excellent speech, and I commend him for that. But I mean, what we need to see now is that speech and that position translated into action.
One of the major topics on the agenda, provincial and territorial priorities for the upcoming CUSMA negotiations.
In any negotiation, there's on both sides, there's some people that are kind of out front with more bluster. We're certainly seeing that, particularly out of the United States right now. But I'm hopeful that below that, there are real and significant discussions happening and taking place. And I'm looking forward to kind of hearing from the Prime Minister on the status of those.
Discussions, the Prime Minister said today, are going well.
Relations are good. We have good conversations, good back and forth. There's a lot of work to be done for the review of CUSMA.
But that apparent optimism was met today by a threat from the U.S. administration.
I would not pick a fight going into USMCA to score some cheap political points. Either you are working for your own political career or you're working for the Canadian people.
Tonight, the premiers will sit down with the Prime Minister for a working dinner, and the main meetings will get underway all day tomorrow. Omar.
All right, Annie, thank you. And the economic wild card around those CUSMA talks is a reason the Bank of Canada held its key interest rate at 2.25% today in its first rate decision of the year.
Uncertainty around our forecast is heightened. The range of possible outcomes is wider than usual. U.S. trade policy remains unpredictable, and geopolitical risks are elevated.
And bad news on the jobs front tonight. Amazon announcing a massive round of cuts, 16,000 positions globally, including some here in Canada. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson finds out whether AI is behind the move.
Close to 5,000 people work at Vancouver's Amazon headquarters, jobs the city very much hopes to hold on to.
These are very important jobs. They're high paying, and we're very glad to have them in downtown Vancouver.
On the day Amazon announced 16,000 corporate positions are being cut, the company won't reveal how many Canadians could be affected. North America's second largest private employer has been aggressively cutting costs since the end of the COVID pandemic.
public health emergency basically compelled a lot of people to be shopping online. And when things reopened, some of that shopping shifted back to traditional brick and mortar stores. And so we had a resizing of the online space for ordering and delivery.
The question on many minds, are these human jobs being lost to AI? Amazon CEO said in June he anticipates generative AI will reduce Amazon's corporate workforce. But today, the company points to paring down staffing in the name of what it calls reducing layers and bureaucracy. Tech experts say AI is simply not improving as quickly as some expected.
It hasn't continued on that trajectory. A lot of the models have leveled off in terms of their abilities. If you interact with ChatGPT on a regular basis, you'll know that it's still just a little bit stupid, and it still makes some really dumb mistakes.
Experts say they do notice hiring may be slowing down for entry-level tech jobs where the work can now be performed by AI. But the fear human jobs are being cut on a mass scale to be replaced by machines is not the reality. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Ottawa says the door is open to a deal with social media giant Meta to reinstate news on Facebook and Instagram. Meta removed news in response to the Online News Act, requiring the company to compensate news outlets for using their content. CTV's senior political correspondent Michael Couture on what prompted the push.
Like many local newspaper editors in Canada, Charlie Senak's job got a lot harder when Meta stopped allowing news on platforms like Facebook and Instagram.
I hear it from our readers, too, who are incredibly frustrated that they can't find us on Facebook.
But now the federal government and Meta are talking about fixing that. The Online News Act and Online Streaming Act have been called irritants by the Trump administration in trade discussions. Both laws compel U.S. tech giants to financially support Canadian TV, film, and music sectors. Instead of paying media companies for carrying their content, all Meta platforms blocked Canadian news on sites like Facebook and Instagram in 2023. In response to the renewed talks, Meta pointed media to these comments in October.
News publishers place their content on our platforms because they get increased distribution, and then they can monetize the clicks that they receive as a result of that distribution.
Curran added that Meta was hopeful news could return to their platform. The Identity and Culture Minister says talks are preliminary.
Canada's door has always been open to have those discussions. We stand by the value of the two acts that make sure that platforms are doing their jobs and making sure people are getting fair dealings.
But even that is welcome news for Senak.
If this does happen and we can post on Meta again, I think we'll be at a point where we can really start growing in even more ways than we already have, and with the added advantage of all the work that we've already put into it.
Last year, the Canadian government removed the digital services tax just to restart talks with the U.S. But it's unclear how far it's willing to bend with the Online News and Streaming Acts. Omar.
All right, Mike, thank you. A Vancouver-based conglomerate has released a statement declaring that when it agreed to sell one of its U.S. properties, it didn't know the buyer was one of the most controversial arms of the American government. Pattison Development saying it only became aware after it agreed to sell this Virginia warehouse that the government contractor buying it intended to use it as an ICE processing facility. The sale has yet to be finalized, but since news of it became public, Pattison has faced online backlash and calls for a boycott of his BC grocery stores. And the two federal agents involved in Saturday's shooting of ICU nurse Alex Preddy in Minneapolis have been placed on administrative leave. And as CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbon reports, new video has emerged of another incident with Preddy earlier this month.
The president said he would de-escalate his immigration crackdown in Minneapolis, but on the streets, it seems nothing's changed. New video shows an ICE agent trying to enter the Ecuadorian consulate in Minneapolis, and tensions are still high after a man attacked Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar last night. A 55-year-old man charged with spraying a strong-smelling liquid at her. The U.S. president accused Omar of staging the incident herself with no evidence.
They have to show that they can love our country. They have to be proud. Not like Ilhan Omar. Did you see what?
Donald Trump lashing out at Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry, warning he's playing with fire for refusing to enforce federal immigration laws. New video shows a man who appears to be nurse Alex Preddy confronting federal agents, spitting and kicking a vehicle, a holstered gun in his waistband. This was 11 days before he was shot by 2 federal agents who've since been placed on administrative leave. A preliminary investigation says Preddy was not brandishing a gun then, contradicting what Trump officials said.
This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism.
As the calls for Kristi Noem to be fired grow louder.
This is not border security. This is not law and order. This is chaos.
Even Republicans are speaking out.
She clearly doesn't know how to manage. She's never managed a large organization, and she's failing at every possible measure of the job.
The president insists Noem's job is safe, but Democrats are threatening a partial government shutdown if nothing changes, calling ICE and Border Patrol out of control in Minneapolis. Omar?
Joy Melvin in Washington. Donald Trump's policies at home and abroad are casting a shadow over the upcoming FIFA World Cup. CTV's Heather Wright looks at the growing backlash.
Millions of football fans are set to travel to North America this summer, all for the beautiful game. But the ugly reality of geopolitics and the Trump administration's aggressive immigration crackdown have led to growing calls for a boycott.
What we are going to witness is a kind of propaganda event for Donald Trump and his policies and what he stands for.
Rafael Pankowski is with the Never Again Association, a Poland-based anti-racism group. He says the tournament will not be safe for visible minorities and will serve to validate Donald Trump's aggressive policies.
Hey, back up.
While the idea to boycott the tournament is not new, it has picked up steam due in part to Trump's efforts to seize control of Greenland and after 2 people were killed by ICE agents in Minneapolis.
As a fan, I simply wouldn't go. It's dangerous.
Mark Pieth is a Swiss lawyer who worked closely with FIFA on governance reforms a decade ago. He isn't calling for a boycott per se, but is urging fans to stay away.
It's tragic that we have the US now on the list together with Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, and so on, with autocracies, with dictatorships, and so on. That is just not something we were expecting.
While a number of European football federations say they are not considering a boycott, activists hope their calls for one will at the very least bring attention to what they say is a dangerous situation in the United States. Omar.
All right, Heather, thank you. The Federal Cybersecurity Center is warning Canadians that criminals are using new tactics and technology that make it easier to target victims. A new report reveals that the ransomware threat is increasing and evolving as malicious actors adopt new sophisticated strategies like using AI.
It'll help them create better social engineering, or like these phishing emails that they'll send out to better appeal to individuals so that they'll click on the malicious links and get themselves infected. It'll help to automate malware that they use in terms of the ransomware activities.
And another warning about what's being described as obituary piracy. CTV's Alex Carpet digs into what's involved and how it's taking advantage of people in their time of grief.
He was a great father.
Catherine Van Amede's father Ken died this past October. One of the hardest tasks was writing his obituary.
It went live on October 10th on the funeral home website.
But hours after the post went up, her aunt found a different obituary of her father on a website they didn't recognize.
It had stripped the personality of it, all the character that you try to put into an obituary to summarize someone's life.
The site is called Ecovita. It's based in Quebec and reposts obituaries along with accepting donations to plant trees and light candles.
To try and link grieving families to these virtual candle lightings or these plant a tree in the flowers stuff. I mean, it was, morally bankrupt is a term I've used before.
Van Amede reached out to Ecovita demanding they remove the post, which they did a short time later. When CTV News reached out to Ecovita, a spokesperson said, "We are a Canadian organization that centralizes, aggregates, and amplifies publicly available obituaries to inform the general public of a passing. Our mission is to make public information more easily accessible, free of charge."
Third-party websites
know just enough about the copyright law that they know that they can produce news, and they walk that fine line of not infringing copyright by duplicating the exact words that were written.
A funeral home in Winnipeg says if you're making donations, make sure you know where your money is going.
There's so many people out there that I don't want to say naive, but have never experienced this, so they're innocent.
In 2019, a company called Afterlife was ordered by a federal court to pay $20 million in a class action lawsuit for being in breach of copyright laws. And last year, Consumer Protection BC issued a warning about what it called obituary piracy. Vanna Mayday is hoping her story can make others aware of the issue.
Keep an eye on this website, check if it's gone up there.
Vanna Mayday is collecting signatures to petition the House of Commons to ban the modification of obituaries and ban any sales or donations not originally mentioned in the obituary itself. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Coming up, CTV News on the ground in Jamaica.
It's a proud moment for Canada.
How Canadians are helping after a historic hurricane. A 3.7 magnitude earthquake shook parts of southern Ontario.
I felt the house shake, the roof and everything. And yeah, that was about it. All the windows, you'd feel them shaking back and forth.
It happened just before 11 p.m. about 100 kilometers north of Toronto. No reports of any damage. Months after Hurricane Melissa ravaged Jamaica, the island nation is still trying to rebuild, with damage estimates ranging anywhere between $8 and $15 billion. CTV's Maya Johnson traveled there, discovering how Canadians are intertwined with that country's recovery.
Despite the devastation in the coastal community of Parity, in the hard-hit parish of St. Elizabeth, Jennifer Forbes is grateful.
Lost a lot, but I give thanks for life, you know?
When Hurricane Melissa made landfall in Jamaica as a Category 5 storm, at least 45 people were killed. Forbes could have been one of them. The storm surge sent seawater bursting into his home. With water rising to his chest, he was trapped until he was able to escape through a window.
The water went down, but the shaking of the house, I think it would collapse, as I said before, you know? So I'm glad that I survived, you know?
As for Jamaica's economic survival, tourism is key.
It accounts for a third of the economy, and it's very important to us. As the tourism industry recovers, the island recovers.
This couple from Boucherville, Quebec, has visited this Negril resort more than a dozen times. They say canceling this year's trip was out of the question.
We feel home away from home. It's our second family.
While many hotels in tourism hotspots are now fully operational, many Jamaicans living in rural areas still don't have electricity. Holland Power Services and Greystone, both private companies based in New Brunswick, are here to help.
It's a proud moment for Canada. Like over 300 Canadians that are here helping rebuild the electricity system, essentially. And we're fortunate that Canada has expertise in that category.
We've never seen anything like this. This is historic. It must have been terrifying to be here when the storm came through.
As more Canadian equipment arrived at the start of January, Jamaican officials expressed their gratitude.
It is a wonderful sight to see the trucks and crews.
Jamaicans moving from despair to determination, with a helping hand from Canada after a historic hurricane. Maya Johnson, CTV News, Black River, Jamaica.
Still ahead. Which hip-hop legend is calling herself Donald Trump's #1 fan? A Canadian business mogul and a hip-hop legend joined President Donald Trump on stage today.
I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change.
Kevin O'Leary and rapper Nicki Minaj appeared alongside Trump to help promote his government-supported investment accounts. And a new series of stamps are going on sale today, marking the first time Canada Post has paid tribute to hip-hop legends.
This is a throwdown, a showdown. Hell no, I can't slow down. It's gonna go.
Toronto's Maestro Fresh West is one of 3 artists being honored as part of Black History Month.
My father took this picture back in 1988, 89. So that's the picture right there, man, the stamp. So I feel blessed.
Along with Maestro Quebec trio Mazian and rapper Michi Me are the other trailblazing performers getting their own stamps and collectibles. Still ahead, who will carry Canada's flag into the Winter Olympics? We now know who will carry Canada's flag at the opening of the Winter Games.
It's super cool. Thank you so much. That's an amazing surprise. It's a huge, probably one of the biggest honor of my life.
That's mogul skier and multiple Olympic medalist Mikhail Kingsbury moments after learning he'll be one of Team Canada's flag bearers. Sharing the honor, ski cross racer and Olympic medalist Marielle Thompson, both describing the opportunity as a dream come true. The Games kick off next Friday. And a pair of Calgary doctors is heading to Italy to care for Canada's men's and women's hockey stars. It's a high-profile gig with a lot at stake, but as CTV's Tyler Barrow reports, they sure know what it's like to work together as a team.
Flames forward Blake Coleman is on injured reserve, sidelined until after the Olympic break. The team's physician is working on him, but for Dr. Ian Ald, it's also warm-up ahead of the Games.
It's starting to get real. I'm starting to get excited.
Dr. Ald is the medical director with the Flames. He has also worked international tournaments for Hockey Canada over the past 22 years, including World Juniors, World Championships, pictured here with former Flame Dion Phaneuf, and last year's Four Nations Cup.
Lucky to be where I am, and I worked hard for it, but it certainly is a privilege.
It's a unique privilege his wife shares. Dr. Laura Benyon is already in Europe as Canada's women's hockey team's doctor.
We've been at this journey independently, and so it's kind of really interesting that we've both ended up with our respective teams.
The two met at the University of British Columbia's medical school in 1995, began dating during their residency in Calgary before marrying in 2003. Dr. Benyon has practiced family medicine but also has strong insight into sports medicine, working with Team Canada's women's programs.
The environment and the culture around the women's hockey team is so positive. I love being around people who are at the top of their game.
This will be their first Olympics. Heading the health of large squads, they know an entire country is counting on these teams. The couple is also counting on each other.
We bounce things off each other all the time, and it's really comforting to know that.
I hope to be sitting in the stands of the gold medal women's game, and I'll probably be more happy if she wins than if I win. I mean, of course, I want our guys to win, but I wish success for her.
The women's team's first game is against Finland Thursday, February 5th, while the men kick off the tournament Thursday, February 12th versus Czechia. Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Calgary.
Should be a great adventure. That's a snapshot of this Wednesday. For all of us at CTV National News, thanks for watching. Good night and see you tomorrow.